Welcome guys to a brand new video on solo leveling Arise. Now in today's video we are going to be focusing on our boy SungJinwoo and the best weapon for him. So as you guys are trying to progress as fast and easy as possible, you guys need to prioritize the weapons for your boy, because of course if you want to progress as fast as possible you need to be clearing the story mode and you need SungJinwoo to be as strong as humanly possible. So you need to make sure he's your most invested character early on, because of course he's the main character you're going in the combat with and you need him to deal insane amount of damage, and the weapons play an important role. Before we carry on, I would like to tell you guys that every single SSR weapon, yes, they are good, every single one. However, of course you guys are not just here to say, oh, just get any SSR weapon. Of course you can get any SSR weapon, but you guys might be saying, okay, I need a specific weapon I need to get. Tell me the specific best SSR weapon. So I'm going to try and do that in today's video as well. But be aware, some weapon, they need the first dupe to actually be good as like the best weapon in the game. Some weapons need that first dupe. So I will talk about that as well. So in terms of the SSR weapons in the game, I have every single one of them. Now in general, every one of them is good. Vulcan Rage is the weakest one out of all of them, just to be clear. However, Vulcan Rage it doesn't mean Vulcan Rage is a bad weapon. You can still use this weapon, but of course you guys are prioritizing the other weapons over here. Now in my opinion, one of the best weapons in this game is the Plume Sword. Everyone has talked about this, but you need to be aware that you probably want the first dupe as well. Now of course without the dupe you can get increased crit damage, increasing attacks and stuff. But the first dupe over here, look at this, increases the chance of the users landing a crit hit on the next attack by 32%, and then increases skill damage by 32% as well. Guys, the first dupe is insanely important from the Plume Sword, but in general if you just get one copy it's fine. But again, the first dupe is really helpful for the Plume Sword. Now with the Grimoire, you don't even need a single dupe. The Grimoire is just insane. Literally at face value, you don't need any dupes. Of course the dupe will help you guys later on, but at face value this Grimoire is the best, like in terms of without dupes and whatever, because he allows you to freeze the opponent and it's a long beam of like insane DPS. Let me quickly show you guys. So the damage from this is nutty, and then you can also freeze. This is very helpful as you guys are trying to clear as easy as possible, because freezing the opponent, it's a guaranteed freeze, is going to be very helpful, especially if you suck at dodging. So honestly, early game this is probably the better one, because you know, freezing, you guys are not good at dodging, so you want to use this weapon. But of course, like I said, the Plume Sword is generally the better one. But of course I do think getting that first dupe for that Plume Sword cements it as one of the best weapons in the game. So honestly, the best two weapons I would say, like number one, number two, it's like this. However, the Scythe that you get given later on in game is also pretty good. Now before I carry on with the video guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more content on solo leveling Arise. I will be releasing a lot more content on the game, so to make sure that you guys don't miss out on that video, subscribe to the channel, and if you guys find this video helpful, go ahead and click the like button. Okay, so the Scythe over here generally is good at face value as well, but also people might not actually be able to use the Scythe properly, or unaware of how to actually use the Scythe properly. You don't just press his skill, you hold the button. So if you're playing on PC, it's probably depending on where you put the weapon, you hold the weapon skill and then you do an enhanced attack. If you just release it, if you just press it, the damage is actually, you know, reduced. So you need to hold it. It doesn't say it for some reason. Let's see. So yeah, there we go. Whilst the skill button is held, you need to hold it, and then the damage from this is really good. Again though, the Scythe, you need the first dupe, honestly. So if the user's current HP is below 70%, you basically increases the user's crit hit rate by 25%. I can't stress this enough again. Also very important for the Scythe. But of course, Scythe is just there for big boy damage, because it's one of the weapons that with his skill does insane AoE damage, insane damage in general. So that's very strong. But again, you get this for free, you get the first dupe as well for free, so you might want to just wait later on, but I think early game you can still use the Scythe. My only issue with the Scythe is the fact that if you get interrupted, you can't use your skill. Like you use your skill but you get interrupted, you lose your damage. It sucks. So with weapon like the Scythe and the Grimoire, there is no issue with that. As long as you freeze, your damage goes through. With the Scythe, it kind of makes you disappear a bit. You take a little bit of the damage, but your skill executes. You can execute your skill. With the Scythe, if you get interrupted, it's GG's. You won't continue with your attack, and therefore you lose DPS. It is very unfortunate, and that's why I don't really like using the Scythe. But as you can see, I have multiple dupes on it. Okay, another really good weapon, honestly, for early game and just progression in story, in my opinion, is the Demon King Longsword, because it not only helps you guys deal increased damage, it also helps with survivability, which you guys are going to be struggling with early on, because you guys don't know how to dodge properly, you don't have good gears, and essentially you want to be making sure you survive. This is going to be the weapon for you guys, because if you take a look at it, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Let me quickly go. If you take a look at the skill, so if you perform a counter attack, so if you press your skill and the enemy attacks you, it performs a counter attack ability which stuns the opponent and as well as creates a shield equal to 20%. This is without dupe. Honestly, this is one of those weapons that you don't need a dupe for, because it just performs extremely well. And this is very important for story. Honestly, I would say for like story mode, this is highly ranked, because you need that shield, you want that stunning, especially with bosses, and it's really good. The DPS is not as insane as the other weapons I just previously mentioned, but you get survivability and good amount of DPS as well. So I really like this weapon, and I do recommend this weapon for when you're clearing story mode. The only issue with this weapon is like I said, it doesn't give you like crit rates, it doesn't increase your damage. It's more like a survivability with like good amount of area damage as well, because if you take a look at the skill animation, it's so you perform it like this, and if the opponent hits you, perform a counter attack with a stun. So it's really nice. It's a really good weapon. Don't be mistaken. Okay, next one we want to take a look at is Judgement. Now the Huntsman, sorry, I don't really recommend. Okay, the Judgement, the Huntsman is really good, don't get me wrong. The thing is, it's primarily used against enemy with break bars, and at the start, as you're progressing through story, not everyone has a break bar, so it's not really that insane. It is a good weapon though, especially when in late game, when you have a lot of bosses that has a lot of break bars, you want to break it as much as possible. So this weapon does become very helpful. But to clear story mode, it is not as important as the ones I have previously mentioned. Don't get me wrong though, it is one of the top 3 or top 4 best weapons in the game for SungJinwoo. So don't be mistaken. Don't be mistaken. The damage from this is pretty nice as well. Of course, if you get dupes for it, it becomes even better. Let's go back again. And this weapon over here, it's another dark weapon. It is a good weapon, but again, I feel like it's similar to the Plume Sword, where you want the first dupe. The first dupe is so important for this weapon, I can't lie, because it allows you to stack the debuff, which is better, because with no dupes in, you basically just, where is it? All you basically do is increase damage taken by 10%, increases user's damage by 10%, and then also Full Moon, which is, where is the Full Moon? It's a debuff. Why can't I read it? So when the last attack of the moon shining blah 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 hits, it slows down the time for 3 seconds, so it adds a debuff to the opponent, which is nice, and applies 1 instance of lunar eclipse to the target per instance of full moon. So full moon, it doesn't really, full moon duration infinite, stacks up to 1 time. It doesn't tell you what full moon is, but I'm pretty sure it's like increased damage taken, right? I don't know. Full moon, I'm not really too clear with this, but you do need the first dupe, because you can now stack this 3 times. So therefore, the part that says increased damage taken by 10%, you can stack this 3 times, so that's 30% increase in damage taken to the opponent. This is really good, but again, you need the first dupe. So in terms of like weapons you want early on that does not require dupes, it is the Demon King's Longsword as well as the Grimoire. Those 2 weapons don't need dupes to actually perform really strong in story mode. The Plume Sword, sorry, also pretty good, but again, you do want the first dupe. You really do want the first dupe as well. So yeah, I think the main 3 weapons you guys want for clearing content is definitely the Plume Flower Sword for story and just overall DPS, the Grimoire for overall DPS plus story. It helps you with your survivability because you can freeze the opponent. And I also would recommend the Demon King's Longsword as well. The shield is very helpful early on, really early on. But later on, you won't actually use this weapon as much though, because you just want to focus on pure DPS, and therefore this kind of falls short compared to the other weapons in the game, like those 3, well, those 4, well 5. All those weapons become better for just straight up DPS compared to the Demon King's Longsword, but in terms of survivability and just good amount of damage, this is the weapon for you, and it is very helpful when you're clearing story. But of course guys, there's one thing you need to pay attention to, which is if you are finding it hard to clear content, take a look at the recommended elements. I can't stress this enough. Take a look at this. Now, there is a particular SR weapon I also want to talk about as well. It did get a nerf, but that's because it was broken. It literally was better than every SSR weapon in the game. But now that they nerfed it a bit, it's still very, very good. It's still very, very good, and I do recommend getting this weapon. But the issue is you want 3 dupes in this weapon, honestly. You want the 3rd dupe before I recommend using this weapon. But since it's an SR weapon, you're more likely to get as much copy as possible. So once you get the 3 dupes, the 3rd dupe, trust me, build this weapon. But I wouldn't recommend like going too ham on it compared to your other SSR weapons. But in general, this is one of the best SR weapons in the game. It's really, really strong. Now, yeah, it's really, really strong. Really, really strong. Okay, so that is it regarding the weapons you want for your SungJinwoo. Of course, there is better SR weapons as well, or good SR weapons we should talk about as well. We have this bow. This bow is really, really strong. We have the fire one as well, really, really strong. Which other one? Don't build this one. The gun one is decent. I believe this is good as well. HP, cooldown, corruption, increases damage. Yeah, this is decent as well. So yeah, I need to upgrade this. This is probably the better fire weapon in the game because the other one is not that great. Anyways, hopefully you find this video helpful and overall useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get to 50 likes in today's video. It's been your boy AC Gamer, and I'm out.